So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Creatio's webinar today. Today we'll be discussing working with Creatio's IDE and configuration tools in a new interface, and we'll share the top use cases and the latest user experience upgrades for business analysts and developers today. I'll be joined by two of my colleagues today as we walk through our discussion and a live demonstration led by my teammates. And my name is Creatio, and I look forward to hosting this discussion. We hope to make this a very interactive discussion today, so we welcome you to post all of your questions in the Q&A section throughout the webinar. And following the discussion, we will be following up with all registered participants with a recording of the webinar, and we will answer any unanswered questions offline. So as mentioned previously, my name is Creatio, and I'll be hosting the discussion today. And I'm joined by my colleagues Alex Petronenko, Creatio's product evangelist, and Nandisha Madapati, Creatio's Enterprise Solutions Manager. So I'm pleased to be joined by my teammates, and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. On our agenda for this afternoon, we'll first be talking about our speakers and topic introduction. Then we will be sharing Creatio's IDE and configuration tools, followed by a revamped user interface of Creatio's configuration. Next, we'll have a Q&A session, and we'll share use cases, followed by user experience roadmap. Then we will have another Q&A section, and we will also share some use cases, and then we will talk about Creatio's Global ACELERATE event. And today's webinar goes in alignment with an upcoming guided learning session organized by Creatio Academy to help business analysts to further grow their expertise in the system's capabilities. Lena Smetanenko, a technical trainer at Creatio, will be joining us later today to give a brief introduction into the training's agenda. Also, to reward your active participation in the webinar, we offer free attendance to the upcoming guided learning session. So feel free to ask any questions or leave comments in the chat section about this initiative. And we'll be selecting a winner at the end for any of the questions that are answered. So Lena will be joining the session later today, and we can expect more information about how business analysts can benefit from this training session. And now I'd like to hand off to my colleagues.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just to introduce myself, I'm Nandisha Madapati. I'm the Enterprise Solution Manager here at Creatio. I've been with Creatio for about almost coming up to my second year, which is pretty fascinating. Over 15, 20 years of experience in the CRM industry. Very happy to be on this topic, which is kind of extraordinary and quite different than all the topics that we have done in the past. So my job right now is to give you a very quick high-level introduction about development environment and configuration tools. So rather than dive very deep into the topic itself, we're going to take some time to go through what are some of the development tools that is available to us from the Creatio side. Now, the topics can obviously be split up into what are you specifically trying to do, right? So if it is a very simple customizing task, and we'll define that what simple is later on, or if you're working with a highly complex customization task for an enterprise accounts, whatever that may be, the bottom line is we have you covered. And we have you covered from providing you all of the tools that are necessary for developing the codes, coming up with packages, creating those packages, making sure that you are controlling those systems through version control, debugging tools, and if you're working on the customization tools, obviously you need to have testing tools using the end unit framework, and obviously delivering it right to your customers. So we have you covered irrespective of all of that. I'll let you take about a couple of seconds looking at all of the various tools that is available in here. So with that in mind, when we talk about packages, there are two kinds of packages that Creatio works on. Number one, obviously, as everybody knows, is the pre-installed packages that Creatio builds from all of our developers, and we absolutely do not want anybody to mess with that, because if you did, then it has terrible consequences when we do the next update. So in order to facilitate all of those configuration changes, we provide custom packages. So those custom packages are placeholder customer packages that comes within Creatio, which we'll talk about in next few slides. And then there's also the user-defined custom packages that you can create and then deploy it. But irrespective of whether you're using the pre-installed packages that comes from the Creatio development, or from the marketplace, or the ones that you create yourself, there are 5 elements that make up for that. And those are SQL scripts, schemas, assemblies, the data that comprises that packages, and obviously package dependencies. So among all of that, I think everybody is pretty familiar with these things. So let's spend some time on the packages dependencies itself. So as you can see it from visually in this situation, there are different packages that have dependencies from something else. Why are we doing this? Because we follow the principle about you only have to develop it once. So in other words, if there's a functionality that has been built in a different package, why do you want to recreate that over and over again? It just makes your product much more bulkier, application becomes bulkier, that has terrible consequences on loading speed and overall user experience. So what we do is basically in this particular situation, as a user-defined package, package E, for example, is pulling and is dependent on package C, which in then turn is dependent on package A. So there is a clear hierarchy of dependencies between different packages. In parallel, package F also is dependent on D and B, but there is also a dependency between C and D. So in technically speaking, from a hierarchical perspective, package E inherits everything that package A, B, C, and D to cumulatively do that. And that makes deployment so much easier, that makes development so much easier, and we take advantage of that. Now moving on to the first use case, which is the custom package. So the reason we are looking at the custom packages in here is because we got a lot of questions asking what is that custom package that is shipped with Creatio. So we thought that we might take some a quick second to explain what that is, and then we can talk about the user-defined customer packages as well. So a good example of custom package is often situations where Alex Petronenko and I do this all the time. And that is we download a demo instance from within Creatio. We talk to the customers, customer express certain configurations they want to see in the demonstrations. And then we go ahead and take advantage of section wizard, detail wizard, whatever that may be, with the idea that we just want to very quickly mock up what the customer wants to see, and then we want to demonstrate that product. At no point of time we're going to take that, we're going to do some version controlling, we're not going to push it to production or anything like that. So the limit, it's pretty much a limited use. So in other words, anytime you want to do some basic configuration changes just to see how applications reflect or react to those changes, or from a user adoption or from a user experience perspective, the custom package that is shipped with the applications comes very much in handy. Again, we are not looking at version control, it's just putting some basic custom objects, basic small changes, configurations, and that's it. But on the other hand, if you have to take it to the next level, where you are doing some high-level custom objects, coming up with data that does not exist in Creatio, and you want to deploy it somewhere else, in such a case, do not use that custom package that is shipped with the application, but build your own. And then define whatever dependencies, whatever that may be. That way you'll be able to export those changes, export all of those packages very seamlessly into a production environment, and your customers will thank you for that. So we just want to make that clear out before we go to the next. So with that, let me go to the next one, which is basically a demonstration. So we are using one of the latest version in here. So you may not be, you're going to see some new user interface, which I let Alex talk about it. So basically what we are trying to do in here is to create a new custom package. So this is probably not something that you have seen in the past, and if you do want to see what it looks like in comparison with what it looks like as of right now, as of 7.16.3, you can simply make that as dev old. Is it old dev? I forget what that is. I think it's old dev. Okay, never mind. I'll find that later on. So now if I want to create a new package in here, the idea is very simple. I can simply go in here and select a new name for that. And let's call this maybe a webinar, and put whatever date you want, whatever that may be, and put whatever descriptions that you want to create. And then it's as simple as creating and adding dependencies in this case. As soon as you do that, it very quickly creates that package and also tells me that this is something done by the customer. This is not something that was developed by Creatio. This was done by the customer. And now I can create or select different packages that is already sitting in the application and select packages that I want dependencies to be built upon. So for example, I'm going to select this, I'm going to select Boston, maybe some calendar, and I select that. And you can see that custom is already selected as a dependent package by default. And these are the basic packages on which the A webinar package that I just created is part of. And as soon as I hit apply, now a new package is automatically created. It's now it's going to create dependencies between what was done. While that is going on, I will also show you a very quick view of what it looks like from the previous slide. It is 0 slash dev slash old. There you go. And this is what the old version looks like. And you can see that all of those packages that I just created just shows up in here. And this is the new reflection of what it looks like. So simply that object was created, and you can at any point of time, you can simply click on the properties and it'll take you right back. If you want to add additional new packages, you can do that as well. Now, if you want to use this as your custom package, you can simply go back to the advanced settings and system settings and select the current package, open that up, and select the default value, which is currently sitting at custom, and instead select the A webinar 009-2020 that I just created, and you'll be using that as your current package. That's how simple it is to create a basic package within Creatio and add different packages as part of dependencies and deploy that as part of your current package. And that is basically a very simple demonstration. And with that, I'm going to stop my screen sharing and turn it over to Alex Petronek.
Okay, perfect. Well, Nandish, thank you very much for this quick demonstration of working with packages and how to create them in the application. Very fascinating, even though we had like a little bump there with the old version of the configurator, right? But of course, what we wanted to do here as well is kind of bring forward and again reinforce the message that Creatio is constantly working on improving the user experience and the customer experience in general, right? We are trying to make sure that all of the users that are working with our platform are completely satisfied with our interface and how the system provides them with the functionality. And this is why we're constantly looking to improve the user interface and, of course, introduce cutting-edge technologies and most up-to-date frameworks in software development. And of course, the new user interface for the configuration section was one of our focuses because it was outdated for quite some time, right? And as a summary, these are just some of the areas and functions that we were updating with the introduction of the new user interface and user experience. So of course, we're talking about the support of .NET Core. We're talking about the performance improvements, having a unified list of configuration elements, having the ability to quickly search by packages and those elements as a unified search, right? Having filtering options, new designer for some specific configuration items and such as schemas, and of course, having a quick and simple way of understanding between standards and custom packages. So these are the areas that we were working on improving, right? Of course, this is currently available in the beta release, but this is going to be made publicly available to all of our customers with the launch of version 7.17 that is supposed to be happening later this fall. And we, as usually, encourage all of our customers to send us feedback and let us know what do they think about the new user interface so we can, again, continue on improving it. And just to reinforce some of the demonstration that Nandish made when showing us the preview, let me just give you a more detailed overview of the interface for the configuration section. So in this case, let me just switch to my screen. And we should be seeing it right here in the application, right? So as you remember, to access the configuration, we need to go to the system designer and we need to go to the advanced settings in the admin area. Definitely make sure that your pop-ups are enabled. And the system is gonna open up the new configuration area or the workspace explorer, right? So there, you can switch to the old one still if you would like to, but keep in mind that we are encouraging everybody to work with the new interface. And definitely the first thing that you'll see that the interface here is absolutely new, right? It is very clean, very crisp, somewhat following the guidelines for the user interface of the main application. Right on the left-hand side, we've got kind of the side panel, and in the main data screen, we've got all of the items that are currently displayed. And of course, on the left-hand side, on the side panel, we've got the list of our packages. Straight away, we can kind of see the difference in the coloring there for the core and standard packages and those that we have available as custom ones. So custom and a couple of those that Nanjish has added, right? This is where we've got some quick actions on the compilation, the ability to quickly search for the packages and the item lists that you can also see currently are displayed as unified lists. So previously we had the option of switching between schemas, processes, and objects to SQL scripts to data that was added to that package. Right now, you could straight away see in the list the type of the element and item, whether this is an SQL script, source code, client module, object, data, or a process if we had one in the list right there, right? But also keep in mind that for certain executable items, those that affect on the configuration and execution of the application, we might as well display straight away their current status. If there is a specific error that has been identified, maybe this is something that has not been installed on the database if we're talking about an SQL script, right? But of course, from here, we can as well as usually apply, create some custom schemas and items of the configuration, quickly filter out based on the type of items that we want to look at, use some additional filtering options for logs, need octalization, and it has an error. And again, jump into additional settings of the search, right? And even if we wanted to, for example, to open up the specific item and look at exactly the code that has been developed for this specific area. And as you remember, any kind of configuration that you do in the application, whether this is going to be done through standard development or low-code environment of configuration, is going to be reflected in these configuration items. So of course, from here, we will be able to continue our kind of standard development and classic development approach. And this is really how the new configuration section is going to look like. This is exactly how, since the release of 7.17, our customers and partners will be working with this area of the application. So definitely let us know in the chat area what you think about this new user interface, this new user experience. Let us know, if you've got any immediate feedback, comments, so that we can take those into account and perhaps even make some changes before the release. And at this point, I will probably stop sharing my screen so that we can go back to some of the slides prepared for this webinar. So as I mentioned, right, we are going to be releasing the new functionality, 7.17, that is to happen later this fall.
So I think the key point that you highlighted there, in addition to that cool user interface, is that 7.17 is going to be something we need to look forward to. So we'll spend about a couple of seconds going through the roadmap of what the IDE looks like. So some of the key enhancements, and I think, Alex, you mentioned about it quite a bit during your part as well, is that now we can start working with multiple elements. You can start exporting multiple packages and filtering that you talked about as well, and setting up some default package, something that I just mentioned previously as well. So the key thing that that was mentioned as was talking to the product owner is that whether you're working with source code designer or the page view designer, ultimately the key reasons why this enhancements was done was to make the user interface much more modern, because we are now working with newer and newer developers who are just come out of college, have experience working with latest greatest technology. They want to start working with user interface that is more timely, that is much more modern, but more importantly, the speed in which these pages load, the speed in which they are able to execute and start building these packages also considerably goes up. So it's not only user friendly, but also from a deployment speed as well. So with that, we will jump in straight into the demonstration as well. It's going to be a very short demonstration. So if I can go ahead and show my screen, please. Thank you, Corey. So we'll go right back. Thanks so much. Hopefully this time I'll remember the new interface. I don't have to rely on my memory. It's not as good as it used to be, by the way. Alex pretty much talked about this, but one thing that I do want to bring to your attention is there are many packages that are sitting in here that have a grayed out icon. So this means that these are packages that are not editable, obviously. So if you simply come in here and if you start looking at if you try to do any changes to this, or if you look at the properties, the maintainer of that is Creatio. It doesn't allow you to make any systematic changes to that. And even if I highlight that and if I try to add any new object or source code or module or whatever that may be, it restricts me from doing so, and that is intentional. On the other hand, any of these custom modules that I just did, which was I think it was a webinar, on the other hand, if I select that, if I just highlight that, and if I click on the add functionality, I now have the ability to add anything I want, and that is pretty standard, right? And you can also see previously, as I mentioned from the properties section, the maintainer is a customer. So we are telling you clearly that this is something that is user developed. It's a custom developed package. So you have the ability to make any modifications that you want. And now that I have selected that particular package, I can create anything such as a new business process or a SQL script or attached data or whatever that may be. So looking at the user interface, let's take a look at how we can start working and attaching a source code to this. And the key thing here is that this reflects the page that you saw previously. The only thing you have to make sure is that the name begins with user, indicating that this is a user-defined script. So maybe I can call it Alex P in honor of my friend Alex Petranko, and then just put any name I want in here, Alex P maybe, and call that 09092020, whatever that may be, and hit apply. So as soon as I do that, I can start inputting any source code that I want. And conveniently for my sake, I have gone ahead and created just that. So let me go ahead and copy that from my notepad directly into in here. And now basically I have copied a C# code into the dialog box. And all I have to do right now is to hit save. And then this is automatically tagged now, and you can see that from the webinar perspective, that source code is automatically attached to the package that I've just created. And then from here on, I can start adding more and more modules, or if I want to make any changes to that, I simply can go in and I can start making changes to that. I can add any local strings or anything like that to continue to make any further modifications. So this reflects the latest, greatest features that Alex was talking about. And then, of course, as he mentioned previously, you can search by particular things. You can look at all packages and say, show me all of the SQL scripts, all of the data, all of that, and things like that. So this is a great way for you to start taking advantage of it. And as Alex mentioned, I'm going to echo his point, is that this is still a work in development. 7.17 is when we expect all of these changes to be released. Any feedback that you want to provide in the meantime, feel free to do so in the chat window, and we'll be happy to collect them. So with that, I'm going to stop the demonstration and go back to the slides. And our colleague Lena is going to talk about the learning session and the poll.
Hi, thank you, Nandish. Yes, my name is Lena and I'm a Creatio Academy trainer. And on September 28th, I will be doing a guided learning session in which we will cover 3 basic development cases that can be done by analysts. We will take a look at things like calculated fields and how to create details with editable lists. All of these cases are usually done by developers, but they're pretty typical, which means that you run into them quite often. And you, as an analyst, if you're an advanced analyst, you can perform them as well. So during this session, we will be covering how to do that. The session will be divided into two parts, so to speak, for each case. There's going to be a demo part on that I will be doing, and then there's going to be a practical part. So you will be able to get hands-on experience right during the session. The session will last 4 hours. It will start at 10 a.m. and you can sign up for the guided learning session on the Academy website. And we are also expanding the number of guided learning workshops that we will be doing. And so we would like to know your input on the topics that you would like us to cover, guys. So Corey, if you could launch the poll. So
Absolutely.
basically, yeah, if you could let us know which areas of working with Creatio you would be interested in for us to cover in the later sessions. We have a couple standard answers prepared, and if you have any other topic in mind, please share in the chat, and we will gather your feedback and work on the future sessions that we will be providing through the Academy guided learning workshops.
Great, thank you so much, Lena. And I think while we give our participants just a moment to respond to this question, maybe we can take a question that's come in from the audience, and then we'll look at the results. So, gentlemen, when will the development and customization with .NET Core be available?
I think it's already available. Yeah,
it is. It actually is available, and with the upcoming update, right? And it will be rolled out this month.
Great. So it looks like business processes and dynamic case management are the areas that are most of interest right now. We'll definitely be touching on this in greater detail as we move through our discussion this afternoon. And another question, gentlemen, from the audience: do I understand correctly that it is best to work with one package during the development process? Are there any cases for which working in several custom packages is more effective?
In this case, yeah, just go ahead.
No, go ahead, Alex. I was just going to say that large-scale project, and there's much more complexity. Yeah. I think you're going the same way.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you are working on a large project, and this is a big scale project, it is kind of recommended to work with several packages, right? Because you can isolate, you can segregate the functionality that is being developed towards different use cases, different departments and teams that are involved in that project. Right, but also because when developing specific features in Creatio, those features can be exported to our marketplace, right? So our partners, of course, are also advised to work within different packages when developing some specific functionality features, add-ons, extensions, and maybe even integrations, so that it is easier for them to later on post those on marketplace and make them available for other customers and partners. And of course,
Thanks very much, Alex.
Yeah, and of course we encourage all of our partners and customers, visit the marketplace for the partners to look at the development guidelines for those applications and really continue providing our our community with those incredible applications that help us to accelerate the design and delivery time of Creatio products.
Excellent, thank you so much. So let's move forward with the discussion today.
Yep. And I believe that in this case, this is going to be one of the slides that I'm going to cover, and as well a quick demonstration from my side. So definitely, we do need to mention here that when we're talking about larger implementation or implementation as such, it is advised to work with an SVN in a development environment only, because otherwise there is a risk of actually partially only partial delivery of changes or system shutdown, right? And of course, we do recommend that in order to ensure all changes are saved in the production environment, it is advised to make a backup before every delivery. These actions can be automated. For example, if our partners and customers are using applications like SimCity or other software that help them to actually control their environments. And of course, making sure that you're working with the most recent versions of Creatio tools and all of the packages, right? But of course, there is a way of making simple updates and simple upgrades and moving those packages and that functionality between environments. And this is actually something that will be coming with our standard feature, our standard functionality of package export and package imports. Now, in this case, obviously, this is exposed to the system administrators. It is exposed to the business analysts that are working with the configuration. And I just wanted to maybe give a quick overview of how exactly that would be done in Creatio. So in this case, just going to share my screen. This is the demo instance that we were looking at before, right? Where have the configuration, the new user interface. And obviously, when we're looking at one specific package with all of the components of that package that were created or were added, this is where under the on the menu we have the option to actually preview some properties or exporting this specific package of functionality, which will be generating a zip file together with all of the configuration items and with all of the data, SQL scripts, schemas, business processes that could be added there through standard configuration. And of course, from there, once you have exported that file, you can actually open your destination instance, the instance where this package should be installed, and go to our application installation that is part of our system designer, right? And in this case, well, you actually notice that this is where you can choose an application or choose a package from the marketplace. So again, revolving back to the capability of accelerating your design time by choosing some ready-to-use components and modules available for all of our customers, or installing some application from file and actually driving this process where you can simply select the file that you want to run the installation for, navigate to your downloads folder, or navigate to where exactly it is being available, right? And the system is going to be driving you through this process. The system is actually going to assist you in installing and actually running for you in the background and just tell if there was any kind of error or issues with the installation. And this is really how simple it is. This is really how we're trying to simplify the process of moving of the development results and design results from one instance to another. And obviously, if there is any way that we can make it even better and simpler to use, please reach out to us with your feedback. But at this point, probably all from my side, and let's get back to our slides and our PowerPoint.
Great, thank you so much, Alex and Nandish. So we did want to take this opportunity today to share some very exciting news. We will be hosting a unique 24-hour live stream event, ACELERATE Global, online this year, and the event is scheduled to take place on October 28th, 2020. And again, the event will be hosted over a course of 24 hours and will include a variety of relevant events for users of different backgrounds. We're very excited for our team to try this in the first ever online format for the event, and with the nonstop speeches and demonstration for our employees, our partners, our thought leadership community, and just Creatio users. There will be 200 interactive practical sessions geared towards supporting business analysts, citizen developers, and professional developers, all that work with Creatio's platform. And the event will be hosted in 7 different languages to meet the needs of our global user community. And the event will be focused on creating a low-code company and how users can leverage low-code technologies to accelerate operations. We want to share with you today, a look at some of the list of what we consider hot topics to be covered. For example, scaling sales, marketing, and customer service using low code, and many other examples that we have listed here of our hot topics. As speakers for these topics, we've invited thought leaders, industry analysts, and Creatio experts to address the needs and questions about working with the Creatio platform. And this unique platform, or this unique format and list of hot topics, will equip all users with different backgrounds with helpful information, with topics, with demonstrations on using Creatio's low-code platform to meet a variety of different business needs. And again, this will be a very comprehensive event. We'll have 5 tracks to deliver the most value to you and to your organization, one of which will be our Accelerate track, which is geared towards providing useful, relevant information for business leaders in particular. Then we will have a track for everyone, a software creator, which will be dedicated to showing users how to create a low-code company. This is geared towards citizen developers, power users, and IT users, and we'll share knowledge and practical advice on how low-code tools can be used. We'll also have a track called Development of the Creatio Platform, which is a track dedicated to professional developers, and will emphasize how to create or how to accelerate transformation with the #1 low-code platform for front office operations. And we will have an industry and focus track that will be dedicated to specific industries where we share common use cases and advice for how low-code technology can be used and leveraged for industry-specific needs. And lastly, we will have a track called Doing Business with Creatio, which will be an informative track about working with Creatio, how you can work with our team to grow your business and to drive your business goals. And here's a look at some of the featured sessions that we'll be preparing for the event in different formats for business analysts, really focusing on the idea that everyone can be a developer. For example, we'll share our strategic roadmap, more information about Creatio 7.16, our new product release, and for best practice sessions for professional and citizen developers. We'll also have workshops for typical use cases and many more. And we just want to take a moment to emphasize, why you should attend Accelerate. This will be a highly useful and enjoyable event for citizen developers, business analysts, and IT users to attend. Again, really beneficial for users of all different backgrounds. And it's going to be a unique learning experience and networking opportunity, and it will be a chance to engage with leaders from various industries and different backgrounds, and just expand your knowledge about using low code to support various business goals. And accelerate and transform your businesses. So our team is excited to share this with you. We hope that we are able to use this event to help educate your team and to work with you. So we want to encourage you to register today through our event landing page at creatio.com/accelerate. And again, we would be thrilled to have you join us and participate in this global event. Great, and without further ado, I'd like to just continue asking some of the questions that we received from the audience, gentlemen. One of the questions that we've gotten is, you mentioned that it is not recommended to do configuration in the custom package. What should I do if changes are made there by default and I need to transfer them?
Within the configuration area, and specifically for the items, there's the option to change the package that this item is included into, but we would also advise reaching out to the support so that they can provide you some additional assistance and information on this one.
Excellent, thank you, Alex. And is there any shortcut to access a configuration environment?
Yeah, there is the option to actually use some aliases, right? So dev, we conf, by adding those in the address bar, like what we've seen Nandish do or try to do a couple of times in the very beginning. But yeah, of course, this can be either through the system designer or directly from the address bar.
Excellent. And how can I access SVN repositories?
through the action menu, which should be available above the configuration window in the browser.
Great. And our next question is, the old configuration included sections like license manager, change log, and object permission. Where are these located now?
Those sections have actually been distributed in the system designer of the application, right? So for example, object and operation permissions are separate sections, and license manager is available within the user management section, for example. So those have not disappeared, right? Those are just available within those areas that are most likely to be requested for them, for example.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, Nandish, and thank you so much, Lena, for these great updates today. Thank you to our audience for letting us share with you our exciting news about ACELERATE Global, our online event this year. We do want to remind you that there is a place to register for the event online. And we also want to remind you that we have several other events that we've recorded previously that are available on our YouTube channel. To educate yourself on Creatio's platform and some of the interesting topics that we've explored over the last few months. So thank you again to my team, and thank you to all of our registered participants today. We look forward to following up with a recording of the webinar and look forward to having you on future Creatio webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, Gray. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Garay. Thanks, everyone.